only once in my career. I quit and was fired on the same day because they were trying to produce some shorts that I found were off color.
For this special episode, we had the privilege of getting to sit down with Bob Bergen, one of the most respected and enduring voice actors in the industry. For more than 3 decades, he has carried the legacy of Porky Pig and a lineup of Looney Tunes characters that helped define animation. And after all of that, he still approached the craft of voice acting with the passion that he had when he started his journey at the age of 14. This is Behind the Mic with Bob Bergen. Bob, thank you so much for joining. And you've had a very interesting career in several ways, one of which is your main role that you have most been recognized for is Porky Pig, a character who has been around for decades, including when you were a kid, and someone who inspired you to become a voice actor. How does that feel, stepping into a role like that from when you were a kid?
Well, when you were a kid, and I wanted to be this character when I was a kid, I grew up in the Midwest. So, when you're a kid, you also want to be a baseball player or you want to be an astronaut. And that changes as the days go by. I just never changed my passion to be a pig. So I just got lucky that my dad took a job in Los Angeles when I was 14 and cartoons were done here. So I just kind of pursued it. The odds were against me. Let's be really, really honest here. I had to be in the city where these cartoons are cast and or produced. I had to be trained. I had to be represented by an agent. I had to have all of the planets align. At the time, and this is going to sound morbid, but it's the truth, at the time that Mel Blanc had passed away, and it all worked out. None of us that play any character, let alone a classic character, but nobody has a lifetime contract for anything. The studio owns the character. So I've just been lucky that in the last 35 years, I've been the one they've called the most to play the character. How does it feel? Let me go back to your question, and I'm sorry I talk in circles. I never take it for granted. It doesn't get old. It's like, really? Cool. Me? Again? Wow. So yeah, this is just, it was my passion. It was my goal. And, I'm 61 and I hope to keep doing it until I can't talk, because I have no desire to retire. I just, actors want to die on stage. If they're theater actors, I wouldn't mind keeling over on the mic. So, but not soon. I want to make that clear. Not soon.
You talk about passion, and going through your history, through your bio on your website, through previous interviews, you have actually talked about how passionate you were when you moved to LA. You called up Mel Blanc and you recorded your conversation with him. Nowadays, people can do that quite easily through social media. But for you as an aspiring voice actor, how did it feel actually getting to talk to your idol on the phone at the age of 14?
Well, I mean, and I've told the story a million times, but, I looked for him in the phone book. And, I'm 14, fresh from Cincinnati, and didn't understand, A, that celebrities have unlisted numbers, and B, that LA is so much bigger than Cincinnati. Cincinnati had one phone book and one area code. I think we actually did too back then. But, my dad just got me a whole bunch of phone books and I didn't know where he was. So I just called every blank in every book until I found him. I didn't think this was an unusual thing to do. I just figured, hey, if you want to be a brain surgeon, find a brain surgeon and say, how did you do it? Where'd you go to school? If you want to be a baseball player, call a Dodger and say, hey, how did you get to play second base? So I just called the guy that did the voice, and I didn't think it was unusual to do it. He was if you listen to the recording, he was very nice. First thing he said was, how'd you get my number? And I told him. And, at some point he said, it's really hard to get into. How old are you? I said, I'm 14. He goes, well, it takes an awful long time. And I'm like, okay, I got to steer this back into a positive. I know it's going to take a long time. I'm still in junior high. So I was like, okay, did you need an agent? So I just wanted to change the subject to, okay, I know it's hard. It's hard to be a successful attorney. It's hard to be a successful teacher. Everything in life that you want is hard. I don't care about hard. I just care about what do I need to do. So, yeah, it was fun. It was exciting. And why did I tape it? Because I figured I was going to be too nervous to take notes, so I wanted to be able to refer back to it in case he gave me a nugget of interest that I'd forgotten about just by taking notes during the conversation.
Yeah, because you had played that back so many times that it had actually broke.
Yeah, and it wasn't just broken. You know, it's old cassette recorder where it gets caught in the rotary.
Yeah.
You know, of the machine. And you know, I'm 14. I didn't know what to do, so I just kept pulling until it ripped, and I threw it away. And I was like, you know, really depressed. And my mom retrieved it and put it in a dresser drawer. And like 25 years later, found it and gave it to me. And I had it, you know, spliced back together and digitally enhanced, which is the recording I've got. And a lot of what we said is missing because of the tape broke. But yeah, what I have is what I have. I don't have the rest of it.
And because you also got a few chances to actually observe Mel Blanc in recording.
Only once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that alone is pretty incredible as well, because Mel Blanc is one of the most famous voice actors in history. Was there something that you really took away from watching him work, either technically or just how he approached performance?
Well, first of all, that he was still doing it, and I didn't stand a chance to start doing it at that moment, which, you know, at 14, I don't know why I thought I can just step in. He's getting old. It was interesting. That was the day that I learned many of his voices were sped up electronically, which I never knew really growing up, because he was doing Tweety and it was terrible. And I thought, oh, because he's old and he's smoking. And then they played it back and it was great. And I said to the producer, what'd you do to make it sound so good? And she said, oh, we speed up many of his voices. Actually, what they did back in the old days was they would record them slower and then play them back in real time. And the effect was that it was a sped up voice. But Tweety is kind of like Bugs Bunny, and Daffy Duck is Sylvester sped up. So that's something I took away from that. I also took away the fact that it was a very collaborative session, where he would do it was a stage show. It was like Looney Tunes, an arena show that he was recording the soundtrack for, and he would do the lines as written, and he would say, "Let me try it this way." And because, you know, he'd been playing this is like 78, so he'd been playing the characters since the 30s. He knew these characters. So he would say, let me try it this way. Let me try Porky this way. Let me try Bugs this way. And I just thought, as an actor, and I was completely not a trained actor, I was just a kid, that was really interesting that he took artistic control of what he felt was right for the integrity of the character. And I took that away from me. So, you know, there are times when you're like, man, I don't like the direction we're going with this show or this movie or whatever we're doing. And that, you know, the thing to do as an actor is to always go, okay, yep, I'll do it your way. Great, you're a team player and you want to be, you know, nice and not a jerk. But there's a moment where you can say, hey, can I try one take just for me? And if you don't like it, don't worry about it. They never say no, but that's your opportunity to offer what you think should be the better approach for this line or this character. Whether they use it or not is their discretion. Mel Blanc didn't say it that way. He just said, let me try one more. Let me do it again. And that's exactly what he was doing.
Yep. Because obviously these characters have been around for some time, and playing Porky Pig and other Looney Tunes characters like Marvin the Martian and Tweety, you're essentially holding pieces of animation history in your hands, or technically in your voice. In
your mouth. Yeah, there you go.
In your mouth. I wasn't sure if that was going to be like the way I should word it.
Well, that's where my mind went, but there we go.
Yeah. How do you balance reverence for legacy with making that legacy your own?
It's a good question. You know, I started doing these characters in 1990. Mel Blanc passed away in 89. First thing I did was Tiny Toons, which was very true to the Looney Tunes characters. And then as you go along, all of a sudden they're the Looney Tunes were always pop culture, but they were pop culture from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. So the music, the pop culture references, you're watching these cartoons 30 years later, you don't understand necessarily the pop culture references, but they did when they were in the theaters back then. All of a sudden we're doing new content where Porky Pig is an Uber driver, or he's an accountant, or whatever. So your goal is to keep the integrity of the character, but you got to update them to today's references. Only once in my career did I quit and was fired on the same day. because they were trying to produce some shorts that I found were off color.
Really?
Yeah. They had a new producer, and he was going to do some theatrical shorts, and he was really pushing the envelope. There was this one short where Porky's daughter, don't ask me when he had a daughter, but he had a daughter, and she was going to a concert, and he's watching on the news that it's a rave, and it's wild, and he's got to get her out. And he goes to the artist entrance, and the security guard won't let him in, and Porky tries to get in. The security guard punches him in the face, and Porky goes flying, and he's groggy, and he looks up and he goes, "What would Jesus do?" And I'm like, I'm not a prude, but there are certain things these characters should not reference, do, offend. I've done Adult Swim, I've done Robot Chicken, I've done all kinds of stuff that were made specifically for adults, but these characters I have a little reverence for and a little respect for. The integrity, the history, and I worked for, and he also wanted to change the way I sounded, which really ticked me off. And I worked with this guy for weeks, and I just wasn't getting through to him that this is wrong. So I went from the last session to my agent's office, and I said, "Look, I know this was my goal in life, but I think I want to quit." And he goes, "You can't quit, they just fired you." And then I'm pissed because I'm like, well, it was great, it was my decision, but now they fired me. They fired me because I was hard to work with. Okay, I was, but I cared too much about the characters. And I didn't want to be a part of the franchise if that was the direction the studio was going to take them.
Yeah. And
literally within months, I got a call that they're doing a new series called Duck Dodgers, and they want me to play Cadet, which is Porky. And they never released those shorts because when the studio found out how much of the envelope this guy pushed, they put them on the shelf. You can probably find them on YouTube, if not finished, but pencil sketches. But even the animation was crude. No, the moral of the story is stick up to your integrity.
Yeah, because essentially you were passed a mantle, and it's your responsibility basically just to kind of like look out for that character. So I think that was a brilliant way to put it. Actually, you've spent decades voicing the characters from Looney Tunes, Porky Pig mainly.
Yeah.
But what is a non-Porky role that you feel pushed you the most creatively?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question that nobody has ever asked me. Well, it's interesting because this just came up, and I posted this on social media, that Warner Brothers is doing Gremlins 3. And that was my first major motion picture. And I remember at the audition, it was for the sound guy, Mark Mangini, who was just an amazing director. I remember him saying, "Can you do the sound of a gremlin exploding in a microwave?" And I said, "What is a gremlin?" Because they wouldn't show me anything. They wanted to keep it secret. And they were like, "Yeah, kind of think, like, remember the little guy who was like giggling with Jabba the Hutt? Kind of like that." And I said, "But why is he exploding in a microwave?" And he goes, he's evil, he's bad, he got stuck in a microwave and somebody turned it on. So that was one of my auditions. And then I remember he said, "Can you do the sound of a gremlin stuck on a ceiling fan out of control that goes flying into a wall?" I said, "Why is he on a ceiling fan?" And had that, I'm a logical kind of guy.
Yeah.
And then he described the Mugwise. He goes, "Think of tiny little cute Ewoks." And throw in say things like Gizmo Kaka. I said, "What's a Gizmo Kaka?" So at the audition, I just really had to use my imagination. But it was really early in my career. And what I took away from that was every audition, you got to use your imagination.
Yeah.
But for voiceover, you got to use much more of your imagination. And then at the recording session, we got to watch the movie as we were doing it. I saw it all in context, and Joe Dante was there directing. So creatively, the challenge was, and this goes back to, we talked earlier about improv. You got to have improvisation skills, because you might do that scene 5, 6, 7, 8 ways, and they want different ways. So I would say that was probably one of the most challenging auditions and jobs I ever did. But that was 40 years ago. Holy cow! I've seen the movie. I've only seen the movie I think twice, two or three times. I saw a screening when it came out, and I saw it within the last couple of years. I know those characters now a little bit better. So hey, if they're looking for repeat actors from the first one for the third one, I'm there.
Yeah, I was gonna ask because that you had posted 2 days ago about
Well, that's when I heard that's when I heard they were in pre-production for it. So I'm like, oh wow! And then everybody started emailing me. Are you doing it? Are you doing it? Are you doing it? I'm like, I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you still haven't heard anything about that yet.
No, my agent's on it, so we'll see.
Yeah, well, I hope you get to return, because I had seen that movie a few times and I always laughed, especially in the theater.
Yeah,
like when they were all in the theater, I was cackling.
That was such a fun scene to do, because we had thousands of them, and we did that scene. There were like maybe 7 or 8 of us actors, and we did the scene over and over and over again. And because Joe Dante would be that guy, be that, and the puppets were just moving. Nothing was coming out of their mouths. So everything you heard, we improvised. I remember one of my improvisations was I had a gremlin looked to the other guy and just does this. So I improvised something like milk duds, like go out, like as in go out and get me milk duds. But that was again just where pure creativity meets creatives, directors, Joe Dante and producer Steven Spielberg, all appreciating collaboration, and your job as an actor is to try to make it better than they thought it was. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah. And because you've obviously been doing this for quite some time, and especially when you were also starting out, you got to actually speak with quite a few big names. You spoke with Hanna-Barbera, you spoke with Mel Blanc. When you were starting out, was there a piece of advice that you got from a mentor or colleague or a coach that still resonates with you to this day?
A lot. When I was age like 16 to 19, I was in an all-day Saturday workout group with the top commercial promo trailer voiceover actors in the business. You won't know these names, but people watching this or listening to this might Google these names: Don LaFontaine, Ernie Anderson, Danny Dark, Jack Angel, Steve Schatzberg. The top voiceover actors who would get together on Saturday and work out so they're doing better during the week when they have a voiceover job. My takeaway from that was, wow, if the people making 7 figures a year are still training, practicing, working out, that should be a lifetime of staying creatively fit. Don gave me a couple of pieces of advice that were brilliant. One of them was always carry yourself as a working actor and never break character. Meaning, how are you? Great. As opposed to today's social media behavior where everybody uses it as group therapy, looking to be loved and validated despite the fact that they're having a lousy day. And they're actually purposely perpetuating what ain't working, rather than not commenting about it and just go out there and present yourself as a very successful person. The other great piece of advice Don gave me, besides carry yourself as a working actor, he said, only rub elbows with and take advice from the people that have the career that you want, not the people on the same or a smaller boat as you. You want to go to the people at the top, say, how did you do it? Who did you study with? Who did your demo? How did you market? Jack Angel passed away a few years ago, but he taught me, I was still living at my parents' house. He taught me, because back then you snail mailed your demos to market your career, and they were reel-to-reel demos. And I spent upwards of $10,000 a year.
Wow.
I was a tour guide at Universal Studios, not making a lot of money, but I invested everything in marketing my career. And I used my mom and dad's dining room table as my assembly line, as per Jack Angel. Paper, typewriter, padded envelopes, demo. And you would hand type a letter, put everything in an envelope, and mail it. That's what costs so much money. Today, I still do the same amount of marketing, but it's free. It's all done via email or online. And actors have no idea how much cheaper and better they've got it today because of this magic thing called the internet. I had to find people in phone books. I didn't have the internet where I could just reach out to a top producer, a top director, a top actor, and say, "Hey, what I want, can I ask how did you do it? What did you do? What did you sacrifice? How hard did you work? Did you have to have a day job? Did you have to have 20? Did you have to live with 20 people on the floor of a single apartment until your acting career took off? How did you afford to do both? How did you take the time to do?" So I did all that, and people ask me this stuff every day. And that's why I'm in this office 12 hours a day. My break in between stuff is answering questions from new and interested voice actors. But the one thing I did not get was coddling. Nobody coddled back then. Nobody, if you were to say to somebody, "Hey, is there a cheaper class?" They would say, "Do something else." You want the best, not the cheapest. Today, people want easy and cheap and fast, and that's why they're not working, because nobody wants anybody who did it easy, cheap, and fast. They want the best.
Yeah, absolutely. I've worked with people because I'm 24. I almost forgot my own age there. I'm 24, and I've spoken with people who are under the impression that working today in a creative field, making videos, doing content, should be relatively easy because it's you have the internet at your fingertips. But that's so not the case, and especially with voice actors, that is most definitely something that needs to be really put in check from the get-go, because you're a voice acting coach.
Yeah.
You've been doing this for over 38 years now this year, if I have that correct.
Yeah. Oh, I think you're right.
What is a common mistake that you see up and coming voice actors making?
They think it's all about the voice. They're not adding nuance. All characters have a voice, but not all voices have character. Or they'll say, "Hey, I do a great Homer Simpson."
Oh, yeah.
And I'll be like, "Well, let me hear it." And they'll do whatever the catchphrases are. I'm like, "Great, do me a favor, grab the front page of a newspaper and read any column like Homer Simpson." And they can't do it. And I'm like, "Guys, number one, Dan Castellaneta is still going strong. Number two, if and when the opportunity, like for instance, for Porky, they didn't take lines from classic Looney Tunes at my very first, or any of my auditions. It was always new dialogue. When we did the movie Space Jam, my last callback, it was down to 5 of us because I had to audition for it. And I was the last person they handed out the scripts to, and everybody getting the script had a look on their face of terror. I'm like, what's so terrifying about a script? They wanted us to do Hamlet's To Be or Not to Be as Porky Pig. I'm like, oh, I've got this. I know this character. I backwards and forwards. So it's not about the voice. It's about the character. It's about the acting. They won't take acting classes. Study acting, study improv, and then study voiceover. And the problem is there are so many charlatans out there who are happy to take anybody's check to study with them or do a demo, knowing they're not ready. I'm very expensive, my coaching. I've got a 4-year wait list. I'm booked through March of next year, and yesterday I spent time reaching out to people on my wait list to schedule them beyond March.
Yeah.
They've been on my wait list. I looked at the email since 2021.
Wow.
I also don't teach that much. I do only do 1, maybe 2 a week at the most. But I don't want beginners. I want people who are trained actors, maybe studying voiceover, maybe represented, but I do commercials or I do audiobooks. I'm trying to break into animation. And another thing I'm always telling people is stop using classic cartoons as your education. They're fun, they're entertaining. Personally, I like them better than today's animation, even stuff I'm working on. Love me a Popeye, love me a Bullwinkle.
Yep.
If you really want to work in today's animation, you need to really know today's animation landscape. Watch Rick and Morty. Watch Sophia the First. PBS Kids versus Nick Jr., Marvel versus DC. You need to understand Adult Swim, Robot Chicken versus Fox Primetime, Bob's Burgers. You need to know who casts these, who voice directs these. You've got an audition for a Marvel cartoon. You ask your agent, who's the casting director. It's Colette Sunderman. You go to IMDb, Colette Sunderman. Oh, she did this Hulk, this Spider-Man, this Marvel Avengers Assemble. She's done a ton of Marvel. Let me watch a few episodes on YouTube. Oh, I get the feel. It's very cinematic. It's some of it's got a very tongue-in-cheek, self-deprecating humor, like a Daredevil or whatever. So that gives you an educated guess of how you should deliver this cartoon. So your first take is kind of sort of based on the information they gave you on the script and the homework you've done. Take two, make it your own. Make it your own. This is stuff that today's beginners can't do.
Yeah, because, oh my goodness, like that answer was brilliant. Mainly because it just made me think of 3 questions I already had ready to ask, but also made me think of new ones. Because basically, you were doing like voices of Porky Pig in your class to the point where you were getting in trouble for it.
In my class?
Yeah, you had. I believe you had mentioned that you had.
Oh,
yeah.
well, no, not the class, not the class I teach.
Oh no, not the class. No. As a kid,
oh,
as
okay.
a kid.
I never had a student reprimand me when I'm teaching.
Yeah.
But they should have, because I could be I was the obnoxious kid who answered a teacher like Porky Pig, or I'd answer the teacher like the teacher. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I visited the vice principal minimum twice a week.
Yeah. So there's definitely a need for them to have the passion for it, to be doing it in maybe their free time, learning how to improv it, and then taking something that maybe exists now, trying to maybe replicate it, but also coming up with new characters. And like you said,
and it's mostly new. The majority of what I do is I get new auditions for new shows, new cartoons, new movies. So I'm not going to try doing Porky Pig for a Disney movie. So yeah, it's all about new. It's all about being original.
Yeah, exactly. And because you also, in my deep dive, I had also found out that you did Luke Skywalker in Rogue Squadron for the N64, which is one of the games I played growing up. So roles like that, how often do you find interesting roles to you, like, that just feel different than what you're used to?
I'm not used to anything because every day is different. You know, I've got about 30 auditions that are due between Monday and Tuesday. And, you know, a bunch of cartoons, a bunch of games, whatever. They're all new and different. All of them. Because they've never been. People always ask me, what's the job you haven't done that you're dying to do? And I'm like, I don't know. It hadn't happened yet. When it happens, I'll let you know. Every single day I'm auditioning for something new. And you look at it and you're like, oh, that's a little bit of this character, a little bit of this person I actually know, a little bit of this, and then I'm going to add, they want him to be slightly Southern. And you just add the layers together, the layers of interest. Reading the script. You got to make up 80% of what you're doing. Who am I talking to? What's our relationship? Where are we? The mic is the ear of the scene partner, so you adjust where you are on mic within the scene. If they're talking nose to nose, you're nose to nose with the mic. If you imagine they're talking across the street, you talk across the mic. And all of that adds a variety to the listener. But this is every day. It's something new. Every single day. Even if it's a character or it's the holidays. So they're auditioning elves. So...
Yeah. Well, we all have an elf. Everybody's got an elf in them. You just do the same elf you've done for the last 40-something years.
But then you look at it and it says, it's an elf on a shelf who wants to get down. And the line is, hey, anybody, give me a lift? Well, how long has he been sitting there? Is he Is he upset?
Hey, somebody, anybody give me a lift?
Or it says angry, frustrated. Are they sleeping?
Hey, somebody! Hey.
So you add those creative choices to what they're asking for, which makes it interesting for you.
You've been around long enough to have seen the craft of voice acting evolve from the Saturday morning cartoon era to the streaming era, and now we are slowly approaching the implementation, sometimes some would actually say the unwanted implementation of the AI era.
Yeah.
what is one thing that you have seen during that shift?
Panic and terror. I mean, and it's interesting because somebody asked me at a Q&A, how would you feel if AI evolved to the point where they can take old Mel Blanc recordings and generate absolute perfection new dialogue? And I said, my answer was, well, I don't know if it's going to happen in my lifetime, but it's going to happen.
Yep.
Who better than Mel Blanc to be Bugs Bunny and Porky Pig and Daffy Duck? Who better?
Yep.
And all we can do as professional voice actors is work towards and demand protections of our past work. So if they want to take something we've done before and through generative AI create new content, they have to ask us permission. My agent has to negotiate them just doing it, and then we get applicable residuals. But see, this is not new to show business and the media. Let's say you're a director and you're doing a movie that it's a period piece that takes place in the 80s, and the kids are on the living room watching Saturday morning cartoons, and they want to show a Cheerios commercial from the 80s. Let's say I voiced the commercial. Well, that's called a lift. So the commercial exists. They have to go to my agent and say, listen, we want to use this commercial. What will it cost to use it? What does Bob charge? My agent says, charges this. Oh yeah, that's reasonable. And then it's in the movie. Well, now that it's in the movie, I get residuals when it's shown on TV because it's like doing a day of the movie. The minimum they have to pay me is if I shot a day in the movie. The same is going to happen with generative AI. They're just going to create all new content with it, but they still have to ask permission and they still have to negotiate with us. But see, that's a union contract. The non-union world, they're the Wild West. Anything goes. There's an organization called NAVA, which has an AI writer, which I beg people, if you're in the non-union world, use it. Well, they're afraid to lose the job, so they say no. And I'm like, well, there you go. I'm on an AI task force at the Television Academy. I served on the board there for many years, and this is an organization that preserves the history, the legacy, and the future of TV. Well, you got AI. So we've got this task force, and right before COVID, we had a meeting, and we saw, and I heard, some great AI demonstrations. Better than most of the stuff we see today, because they don't, cost money. And I said, look, I'm a voice actor. Where'd you get the source material for this to train it? And she said, from you. I said, what do you mean from me? And she said, well, do you do the pay-to-play voiceover sites? I said, no. Well, whoever does, in their user agreement, the companies had the right to sell the auditions and jobs to us. We've been using that to create generative AI. The irony is the non-union world that is the biggest threat in voiceover with AI, trained generative AI. Now, these companies no longer have those clauses in the user agreement, but after 20 years of banked content, the damage is done. Yeah. So I don't worry about what's out of my hands. Mm-hmm. I don't worry that, they're using AI for this, because they're going to do it. Yeah. But if it's my past work, then they have to pay me as per our TV theatrical contract. I co-chaired the animation negotiations almost 3 years ago. I'll probably be doing the next one. The commercial contract, all of our contracts that have been negotiated since the TV theatrical strike from a few years ago have AI clauses, and they're just going to keep improving. So the moral of the story is, if you want to be protected from AI as a voiceover actor, work union. Yep. It's the only way.
Mm-hmm. And I will say that this is the first time I've heard a voice actor talk about them being on a task force. That it's very important what you're doing as well, because you just mentioned it. There are, like, AI sort of came out of left field, and with that, things had to change with regards to contracting. And I think that this is a good way for for this to keep being implemented, because people are still calling for legislation with AI. It is making strides, which is good to hear.
Right. And that's, by the way, that's a very good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But let's be really honest.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say the legislation is picture perfect. There's nothing but protections. Murder's illegal too. So is robbing. Okay? So is speeding. People do it every day. The problem with AI is, and my analogy is credit cards. Have you ever had a credit card compromised? You're like, you get a call from the company saying, hey, did you buy a Buick? No. Okay, your card was compromised. We'll take the charge out. We're going to issue you a new card. That's a great credit card company, and they've got red flags. They can find that stuff. They see weird spending that you probably didn't do. Yay! But they have no idea who did it. They have no idea who compromised. Same's going to happen with AI. So think of it this way. On Friday, a studio's big blockbuster movie is going to debut with this actor, this actress, $20 million actress, and they're expecting it to make a fortune. And somebody in an IT department puts out a deep fake that makes it sound like the celebrity said something racist, did something weird. And let's say they put it out there, and within an hour, it's like, hey guys, it was a deep fake, don't worry about it. The damage has already been done. It's going to happen to real people. It's going to happen to celebrities. It's going to happen to politicians. I keep seeing videos of babies and dogs, and they're all AI. But you believe everything you see. To me, that's the bigger threat than an actor's work being compromised.
Yeah, and I think more to that point, it's more important for viewers now to be aware of AI usage, because it is getting better, but there's also a degree of common sense and also awareness that needs to be applied to some of these circumstances, because YouTube, for example, AI slop has been dominating the platform. Mm-hmm. And people are able to just create AI videos and then monetize that. They can literally sit from their computer and monetize things like that. But they're getting better at maybe combating that, but like you just said, it's still illegal to murder someone. But
it's a needle in a haystack. You might be able to combat 80%, but 20% online represents billions of clicks and views and what have you. Look, CGI infiltrated model makers, makeup artists, set dressers, costumers. This is not new, it's just now. What year was Titanic? 30 years ago? The extras on the boat were CGI. You didn't hear people going, it's the end of extras. No, it was innovative. It was CGI. I remember when Looker and Tron came out in like 80, 81, everyone said, CGI animation is very cold, it's very stiff, it doesn't do much, it doesn't have any heart. The same thing they're complaining about with AI. It doesn't have a soul, it's not a person. And less than 15 years later, we got Toy Story and Jurassic Park and Planet of the Apes. I mean, we have to embrace the tide that is technology because you can't stop it. The problem is, like you just said, it's not necessarily just the studios. It's the dude who's 14 with a computer who's very good at this and just puts the stuff out there.
And more to the point as well, because I saw a clip of you where you demonstrated how you do Porky's voice, and once you basically explained every single part of the stutter, and then you ran through a line, and then you just said that's why you have job security.
Yeah, well,
do you feel like job security has changed for voice acting with AI and the internet, essentially?
That was literally just a joke for that movie. There is no job security because Mel Blanc died. His characters didn't. I did a panel at the TV Academy. It's online. If you go to the TV Academy's website, you can watch it. It's really good. I called it "But the Characters Live On." It was me. It was D. Bradley Baker, who at the time was doing Daffy on New Looney Tunes. It was Greg Griffin, who's Daphne on Scooby-Doo. Characters live on. Kermit the Frog lived on beyond Jim Henson. So, there is no job security. And actors age out, and they get, they might ask for too much money. Therefore, they go to a different actor. There's a lot of reasons. There's no job security. That was just a joke for that moment. But the characters should live on. And forever. Gosh, Walt Disney stopped doing Mickey Mouse. I think the last time he did it was the Mickey Mouse Club. And he had not been doing it for years. My point is, look, if Valerie Harper, starring on a show called Valerie's Family, that she produces, can get fired from it, we're all replaceable. Get over it, You can't worry about it. You can't worry about what's out of your hands.
Yeah, exactly. No, because you had mentioned Rick and Morty as one of the things that people should be watching for inspiration on how to create character voices as well.
Yeah.
And he got replaced as well, and people still...
Of course. Yeah, I think Phineas and Ferb had a recast.
Mm-hmm.
They all do. They did a whole new cast of Muppet Babies. They wouldn't even consider the original cast because they wanted different actors. There's a part of you that thinks that's cold, that's rude, but we don't own these characters. We own them the moment we're doing them, and that's it.
You had an interest in voice acting from a very young age, and with where you've ended up with your career, I would say that you are one of the many great voice actors who was born to voice act important characters as well.
Well, I also got, again, really lucky that I may have been born to do it, but there were no guarantees. There were no guarantees that I had the skills, that I'd be trained. Everybody can want anything in the world, but I also had parents who, supported this passion of mine. I know they were hoping, maybe he'll come to his senses and be a lawyer, but I didn't. And they also, I took my first voiceover class when I was 14. I didn't have money. So my parents paid for my voiceover classes until I was 14 and a half. And I got my first after-school job scooping ice cream. And from that point on, through the rest of my career, I paid for everything because I wanted to prove to my parents I really wanted this. But my parents also instilled a work ethic. You work hard, you get returns. And that's the other thing that's missing from today's world of voiceover wannabes. I kind of touched upon this. They just lack a work ethic. They just want to be handed gifts and don't understand why they don't have it. So not everybody had parents that instilled a work ethic. So that was a fortunate circumstance too.
Yeah, because obviously you paid your way as you were continuing your voice acting career while you were a tour guide at Universal Studios. Like, was there anything that you had ever gained other than the paycheck to support yourself? Did you ever gain insight into the industry, or were there ever any doors that were open while you were working at Universal?
Oh yeah, I spent my days off. I made sure my days off were during the week. Most people wanted weekends off. I wanted during the week because we were allowed to go wander the lot if we wanted to. So I would walk into sound stages and I watched movies being made. I watched Back to the Future being shot.
Wow.
I would knock on casting directors' doors. Can I read for you? Can I audition for you? And I booked, I was still doing on camera. I booked The Facts of Life. I booked Silver Spoons, One Day at a Time. I learned, that's how you hit your mark. I would knock on the door and I would go to the post-production offices and watch them mixing sound and mixing voices. But again, I took advantage of this opportunity to really wander the back lot and learn. But that's just because I'm not gonna miss an opportunity. I also, Universal was one job. I was a mall Santa Claus for 5 years during the holidays. So I'd leave Universal. I did a Universal, not a show or movie wrap party, Christmas party. And I had major celebrities sitting on my lap. And, you're Santa, you're not supposed to say, hey, listen, my name is, and I've worked with them, and I never told them I was your Santa Claus in 1984. But yeah, man, I mean so much, but I was a workaholic, and I still am.
Before we end this, I have some quick fire questions that I want to ask you.
Oh, good. I'll try to give you quick fire answers.
Okay. All right. First one.
No.
If you could voice a scene with any actor or voice actor in the world, who would it be?
Living or dead?
Living or dead?
Dawes Butler. I studied with Dawes off and on for 10 years. He was every voice Mel Blanc wasn't. He was Hanna-Barbera. He was Yogi Bear. He was Huckleberry Hound. He was Captain Crunch. He was Elroy Jetson. And I studied with him, but I never got to work with him. So Dawes Butler.
Number 2, what is your studio snack of choice?
I don't eat when I work. That's a great question, because first of all, I work from my home studio, so I have a kitchen. But when I used to go to the studio, I can't eat. I will drink coffee, and I just never have an appetite at the session. And I know a lot of actors, that's their lunch, because they're starving actors and they're working today but not necessarily tomorrow. So I'm sorry, just don't eat when I'm working.
What's the strangest piece of direction that a voice director has given you?
I've got 2. One is take your time but hurry up, and the other one was we're looking for just a hybrid of Richard Simmons and Henry Kissinger. Oh, and then there's a third. I was auditioning for a Ruffles commercial, and the director said, "Can you put a ridge in your voice?" Because Ruffles have ridges. And I said, "What the hell does a ridge sound like?" And he's like, "If I could do a ridge, I would do the commercial." So yeah, those are 3 that stick out.
Wow. Is there a voice acting pet peeve that you have?
In my own work or just in general in the industry?
Either or.
I'm not a fan of line readings. I'll do them.
Yeah.
Because I want to come back for next week's episode. And if there's a director, that's the only way they direct, rather than trying to really direct you. That's a peeve. Lateness is a peeve. I can't stand people who are late. In today's as a teacher, and especially online, people without a work ethic. People who want it fast. We said this earlier. Who want it fast and easy. People who aren't willing to do what I did. 5 years of day and night survival jobs while I was pursuing voiceover the first 5 years. They're not willing to do that. The idea of waiting tables or bartending or being a cater waiter, because everyone tells them what a great voice they've got, and they work in their home in their pajamas. Or they might have walked away from a career they don't like, but they're not actors. They didn't live the life of an actor. They don't have the soul of an actor. They don't have the mind frame of an actor, which is you don't have to get paid to act. You just have to act. And these are people who only want to get paid, and they'll get paid anything. $10, $100, they don't care. And they'll brag about it. That's another pet peeve, bragging. Not promoting. Promoting's a different thing than bragging.
Yep.
Voiceover has become narcissistic, and I find it repulsive.
Do you feel that, obviously with social media, that has only gone worse?
Yeah, but people are they're sheep. They're just doing what everybody else is doing. The fascinating thing is like I said earlier, the advice Don gave me.
Yeah.
Rub elbows and only associate with people on a bigger boat than you. Well, these are people on the same boat or smaller boats, all doing what the same people on the same boats are doing. But they're not looking at or for what the top voice actors are or aren't doing. But they're in a club of mediocrity. They're in a club of narcissism. They're in a club of need. And I'll tell you, I get emails from actors all the time, or my agent will pop me a note. I got a referral from so-and-so. They said they did a class with you. I'll say, okay, first of all, they did a one-day seminar. Not a class. They did a one-day seminar. Number 2, look at their social media behavior. And my agent will look, okay, thank you. Because their social media behavior is narcissism, desperation, negativity, complaining constantly. Nobody wants to represent or work with that. People will wonder, why is my voiceover career so dead or slow? You're responsible for that, your behavior. I can say whatever I want. Yes, you can, and I agree with that philosophy. That's the American way, and I do advocate for liberty. But you're a schmuck. You just badmouthed something that you might be auditioning for this week, but you don't know it.
Final question. If your mic could talk after a session, what would it say?
Depends on the session. Can I give you a few answers?
Yeah.
My mic would say, "Was it good for you too?" you know, because if I'm having a great time, my mic is having a good time. If it's a lousy director, my mic might say, "Boy, you're patient." My mic might say after a session, "It's a good thing you've got other things because that was dull." My mic will say everything I'm thinking. I'll tell you the most important thing my mic would say is, "Boy, I hope you're as grateful as I am."
Oh, and are you?
Oh, God, yeah, every day. Every day. Even if it's a session, I'm like, well, that doesn't creatively float my boat, but boy, was I lucky they wanted me.
Well, I hope for everyone's sake that you still continue to be a workaholic, because your voice is still very iconic, and I hope you do get cast in Gremlins 3.
Me too. So does my banker and the mortgage company for my house. Yeah.
No, I'll be paying close attention. Bob, thank you so much for joining today. It has been a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you for so much insight.
It is but my pleasure.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Behind the Mic. If you enjoyed the conversation and you want to hear more from the voices behind your favorite characters, then be sure to follow us on Spotify and subscribe to us on YouTube. And don't forget to check out our other interviews, as well as voiceover tips and industry news at Voquent.com or on our social media. See you next time.